MorphOS is an AmigaOS-like computer operating system. It is a mixed proprietary and open-source OS produced for the Pegasos PowerPC processor-based computer, PowerUP accelerator-equipped Amiga computers, and a series of Freescale development boards that use the Genesi firmware, including the EFIKA and mobileGT. Since MorphOS 2.4, Apple's Mac Mini G4 is supported as well, and with the release of MorphOS 2.5 and MorphOS 2.6 the eMac and PowerMac G4 models are respectively supported. The release of MorphOS 3.2 added limited support for PowerMac G5. The core, based on the Quark microkernel, is proprietary, although several libraries and other parts are open source, such as Ambient desktop. Characteristics and versions, developed for PowerPC processors from Freescale and IBM while supporting the original AmigaOS MC680XO applications via proprietary task-based emulation, and most AmigaOS PPC applications via API wrappers. It is API compatible with AmigaOS 3.1 and has a GUI based on MUI. Besides the Pegasos version of MorphOS, there is a version for Amiga computers equipped with PowerUP accelerator cards produced by Phase 5. This version is free, although it does slow down after each 2-hour session if it has not been registered. Registration is free. PowerUP MorphOS was most recently updated on February 23, 2006. However, it does not exceed the feature set or advancement of the Pegasos release. A version of MorphOS for the EFIKA, a very small mainboard based on the ultra-low wattage MPC 5200B processor from Freescale, has been shown at exhibitions and user gatherings in Germany. Current release of MorphOS supports the EFIKA. Components APX is an emulation sandbox featuring a PPC native AmigaOS API clone that is binary compatible with both 68K Amiga applications and both PowerUP and WarpOS formats of Amiga PPC executables. APX is based in part on AROS Research Operating System. APX includes Trans.jit code translator for 68K native Amiga applications. AHI a Euro audio interface. 6.7, Ambient desktop a Euro the default MorphOS desktop, inspired by Workbench and Directory Opus 1.43, CyberGraphics a Euro graphics interface originally developed for Amiga computers, 5.1, Magic user interface a Euro primary GUI toolkit, 4.2, Poseidon a Euro the Amiga USB stack developed by Chris Hodges, TurboPrint a Euro the printing system, TinyGL a Euro OpenGL implementation and Warp 3D compatibility is featured via Rave low-level API, v51, Quark a Euro manages the low-level systems. MorphOS software, MorphOS can run any system-friendly Amiga software written for 68K processors. It also provides compatibility layer for PowerUp and WarpUp software written for PowerUp accelerator cards. The largest repository is Aminit with over 75,000 packages online with packages from all Amiga flavors including music, sound and artwork. MorphOS-only software repositories are hosted at MorphOS Software and MorphOS Files. Bundled applications MorphOS is delivered with a number of desktop applications in the form of pre-installed software. Supported hardware, Max. 1.5 GB RAM. No virtual memory possible. NVIDIA cards are not supported. Amiga Amiga 1200 with Blizzard PPC accelerator card, Amiga 3000 with Cyberstorm PPC accelerator card, Amiga 4000 with Cyberstorm PPC accelerator card. Apple Mac Mini G4, eMac, PowerMac G4, PowerBook G4, iBook G4, PowerMac G5, PowerMac G4 Cube. Genesi B-Plan GmbH EFIKA 5200B, Pegasos G3, Pegasos 2 G3 Program 4. A Cube SAM 460 series mainboards. History. The project started in 1999, based on the Quark microkernel. The earliest versions of MorphOS ran only via PPC accelerator cards on the Amiga computers, and required portions of AmigaOS to fully function. A collaborative effort between the companies B-Plan and Thendic France in 2002 resulted in the first regular, non-prototype production of B-Plan-engineered Pegasos computers capable of running MorphOS or Linux. A busy promotional year followed in 2003, with appearances at conventions and exhibitions in several places around the world, including CES in Las Vegas. Thendic France had financial problems and folded. However, the collaboration continued under the new banner of Genesi. After some bitter disagreements within the MorphOS development team in 2003 and 2004, culminating with accusations by a MorphOS developer that he and others had not been paid, the Ambient desktop interface was released under GPL and is now actively developed by the Ambient development team. Subject to GPL rules, Ambient continues to be included in the commercial MorphOS product. An alternative MorphOS desktop system is Scorlos. On April 1, 2008, the MorphOS team announced that MorphOS 2.0 would be released within Q2/2008. This promise was only kept by a few seconds, with the release of MorphOS 2.0 occurring on June 30, 2008 23:59 CET. MorphOS 2 is commercially available at a price of €150 per machine. A fully functional demo of MorphOS is available, but without a key file, its speed is decreased significantly after 30 minutes of use. Release history of 0x/1x series release history of 2x/3x series MorphOS 2 includes a native TCP/IP stack and a web browser, Sputnik or Origin web browser. Sputnik was begun under a user community bounty system that also resulted in MOSNet, a free, separate TCP/IP stack for MorphOS 1 users. Sputnik is a port of the KHTML rendering engine, which WebKit is also based on. Sputnik is no longer developed and was removed from later MorphOS 2 releases. Version 2.0, MorphOS 2.0 was released on June 30, 2008. The new version included the previously missing native TCP/IP stack, an updated Sputnik release, AltIFC support, alpha compositing 3D layers for the graphical user interface, new USB components, new screen blankers, and Reggae, a new, modular, streaming multimedia framework. MorphOS 2.0 also included support for the EFIKA, Pegasos 1 and Pegasos 2 machines. Version 2.1, on September 5, 2008, MorphOS 2.1 was released, fixing numerous bugs and adding support for the EFIKA's audio. Version 2.2, on December 20, 2008, MorphOS 2.2 was released, fixing numerous bugs, adding a true crypt-compatible disk encryption suite and several small items. Version 2.3, on August 6, 2009, MorphOS 2.3 was released, fixing numerous bugs, adding Origin web browser as the default browser, read-only HFS plus file system support and several small items. Version 2.4, on October 12, 2009, MorphOS 2.4 was released, adding support for Mac Mini G4 platform, as well as fixing various bugs and adding new features. Write support for Mac HFS disks were added and new charsets library was included to provide better multilingual application support. Version 2.5, on June 4, 2010, MorphOS 2.5 was released, adding support for eMac G4 platforms and drivers for CI3X1X-based 2-port serial ATA PCI cards. Version 2.6, on October 10, 2010, MorphOS 2.6 was released, adding support for PowerMac G4 platforms and 2D drivers for RAID 128 Pro graphics cards, released at precisely 10.10.10.1010, version 2.7, on December 2, 2010, MorphOS 2.7 was released, improving support for PowerMac G4 platforms and fixing various bugs. Version 3.0, on June 8, 2012, MorphOS 3.0 was released, introducing support for PowerBook G4, including several performance improvements and new features and fixing various bugs. Version 3.1. On July 8, 2012, MorphOS 3.1 was released. MorphOS 3.1 is a bug fix release. Version 3.2. On May 27, 2013, MorphOS 3.2 was released, introducing support for further PowerMac G4 models, all iBook G4 models and PowerMac G5 model A1047. Radeon 3D drivers were updated to support A300-based cards. Wireless networking is now supported via EFIKA's chipset. MorphOS TCP/IP stack received a major overhaul, improving networking performance. Version 3.3. On September 18, 2013, MorphOS 3.3 was released. MorphOS 3.3 is a bug fix release. In particular, this release fixes support for some iBook G4 models. Version 3.4. On December 14, 2013, MorphOS 3.4 was released. MorphOS 3.4 improves A300 3D and G5 video playback performance. It also adds support for non-native display resolutions on various PowerMac models. Version 3.5. On February 15, 2014, MorphOS 3.5 was released. MorphOS 3.5 is a bug fix release. It also adds support for PowerMac 7, 2 PowerMac G5 models. Version 3.6. On June 27, 2014, MorphOS 3.6 was released. MorphOS 3.6 notable new features include built-in Broadcom Wi-Fi support, AMDR400 support, SMBFS file system, VNC server and a Synergy client. Version 3.7. On August 3, 2014, MorphOS 3.7 was released. MorphOS 3.7 is a bug fix release. Version 3.8. On May 15, 2015, MorphOS 3.8 was released. MorphOS 3.8 added support for a CubeSAM 460 series of mainboards. This release also improves Radeon graphics card support by adding support for numerous new cards, including some of the HD series. In addition to various performance improvements, MorphOS 3.8 also adds the ability to use 4K displays in their native resolution. Version 3.9. On June 19, 2015, MorphOS 3.9 was released. MorphOS 3.9 is a bug fix release. See also, Ambient Desktop, AmigaOS 4, APUS, AROS, MUI. References. External links, Eminent Amiga MorphOS software repository, official website, MorphZone, supported computers, MorphOS software database, MorphOS software repository, MorphOS, The Lightning OS, Oblige Mundi Euro magazine about AmigaOS and MorphOS, warmup-asso.org, a Euro portal dedicated to MorphOS users.